Humanity is at a tipping point. We stand at a crossroads of accelerating change unlike anything ever seen in the history of life. It feels as if the future could tip either way. Between utopia and apocalypse. The risks we face are daunting. But beneath the rampant pessimism for our future is evidence that humanity can not only survive the coming centuries, but thrive deep into the future. No one knows what comes next, but there are three broad paths our future could take. The first is collapse. A major catastrophe threatens the downfall of civilization and possibly even extinction of the human race. Second is plateau, where mankind averts collapse but hits an upper limit of progress. And third is transcendence, where humanity reaches its full potential, multiplies into the trillions, or transforms along the way into something entirely unimaginable. Envisioning these futures will clarify the risks we face and the promise we have as we step into an unpredictable new era for planet Earth and for ourselves. Mankind is no stranger to catastrophe. Our ancestors have survived asteroid impacts, ice ages, supervolcano eruptions, and deadly plagues, each time bouncing back to new heights. But our biggest threats no longer come from the natural world. They come from ourselves. Since the dawn of nuclear weapons, the threats of self-destruction have come to dwarf all others. By some estimates, the risk of causing our own extinction is over 300 times higher than extinction by natural causes. The Future of Life Institute identifies 4 main risks to our survival: nuclear war, biotechnology, and AI. To comprehend the gravity of these risks, we have to envision their worst possible outcomes. The soot from a large-scale nuclear war could cool global temperatures by nearly 10 degrees and wipe out up to 63% of the population. We have made strides in reducing nuclear stockpiles, but there are nearly 10,000 warheads still in existence. Currently, we are on track to heat the Earth by around 2.7 degrees by 2100, which could displace over 1 billion people. But in the worst case, we could trigger CO2 tipping points and cause up to 12 degrees of warming in the coming centuries. Biotechnology has the potential to solve major crises like food scarcity and disease, but could give small groups of people the power to cause global disaster. In theory, the release of a designer pathogen could have an even higher death toll than a global nuclear war. But the hardest risk to gauge stems from AI. It's the first threat we face that we may not be able to outsmart. It could become a powerful ally. Or it could ultimately outcompete us for the world's resources and push humanity into obscurity. Navigating this new risk landscape will be the biggest challenge we have yet faced. And new, unknown threats are bound to materialize the more we progress. But despite the potential for large-scale human tragedy, few of these risks on their own are likely to lead to our total extinction. In fact, we may be one of the least endangered species on Earth. Our sheer numbers and broad distribution have given us a geographical buffer against extinction. We inhabit every corner of the Earth, from desert to tundra and tiny isolated islands, which could act as natural quarantines in case of global disaster. Even if 99.9% of humans were eliminated in some catastrophe, 8 million of us would remain, more than existed for most of our history. And although we are slow to reproduce, we no longer rely on the glacial pace of natural selection to adapt. Technology gives us the power to adapt thousands of times faster than any other species in the history of life. Lastly, our generalist diets allow for a wide flexibility in food sources, a trait that was critical to survivors of past mass extinctions. Ultimately, the threat of collapse hinges on one question: how resilient is civilization? How big of a hit can we take and keep going? The Black Death of 1347 killed up to half the population of Europe and 1/10 of people globally. But even this did not derail human progress, and it was followed by the scientific revolution just 200 years later. The same proportional hit today would wreak havoc on our interconnected global economy. But as long as our infrastructure and knowledge remained, we could still rebound and maintain an upward momentum. If we suffered a collapse steep enough to extinguish global industry, it would make for a much longer, more precarious recovery. And if we somehow lost the capability for agriculture and lifestyles, the Earth could only support 10 million of us. Our population as it was 100 centuries ago.